See here. All right, welcome in everybody. American Leeds, the American Leeds podcast. Jeer is with me today. We are missing Michael because Michael's son had a little bit of an accident. He sprained his wrist, and so we're hoping everything's all good. He's got to get X-rays, so we're down a man. We're a man short.
Man down.
Man down tactics tonight. But we were talking about John Giles, Leeds legend. Who else did he play for? Did he play for anybody else?
He did.
It's all right.
After Leeds, he went somewhere. West Brom.
West Brom.
Yeah, after Leeds. He was supposed to get the Leeds job after Don Revie. Don Revie had told Leeds to give it to him, and they didn't. And he left, and he went to play for West Brom the year after Clough.
Yeah. And he, what position did he play?
I suppose he's a modern 10, but he was more kind of a inside winger or kind of a creative player. But and he's lovely, super skillful player, just a beautiful footballer, but had an edge as well if it was needed. Wasn't afraid to leave a boot in. Like he was well fitted in that Leeds team. They were a tough bunch.
And he still does commentary on Irish TV about the Premier League and the
he does a program on News Talk. It's like a radio station, but they have a live Facebook and YouTube access account all the time now, so they're nearly live TV news as well as radio. But they have a sports show called Off the Ball, which is a really good program. Covers all Irish sports as well as international sports every night. And then there's the football shows on a couple of nights a week, and John Giles is their expert that comes in to talk about the Premier League and what's going on. So he's still 86 years of age and he's still doing that, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I know that is 86. Yeah, sharp as a tack, I'm sure. So, all right, well, interesting. I don't know where to dig in first here. Tonight was a tough watch. We were messaging each other. I guess we'll just start there. I mean, what were your thoughts on the lineup and the match itself?
I saw Wolves lineup and I thought they're putting a reasonably strong side. And then I saw the Leeds team and I went, that's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids. And then you look at the left-hand side partnership of Firpo and Llorente together and you're like, oh, God, and you change the goalkeeper. And I just thought, I'm not overly bothered about this cup. I know it's nice to get a cup run, but as long as we're okay in the league, that's the priority. But I just kind of thought, as long as we don't get a thumping in this game, I'm kind of okay if we get knocked out. And then we didn't get a thumping, but nothing else really happened. It was just a bit of my notes that I was writing down. I wrote down, I have no extreme emotions about this game at all. I'm like, it was just a bit of a meh kind of game, really. It was poor quality, bad passing, sloppy play, over carrying the ball.
It was a bit like watching a poor U21s match.
It was exactly what it was like. It's exactly what it looked like.
Somebody said you could hear the players talking on the pitch. Yeah.
I don't know what the Wolves fans are normally like, but if that's what Molineux is like, I'm not surprised they are where they are in the league because that place was dead.
Yeah, it was dead. And so I like you. I thought, well, a lot of people are getting debuts, and I don't know, is this almost an example of how bad Wolves are? The fact that
that's a reasonably strong Wolves team. That would be close to their first team. Right. I mean, Adama is kind of in and out of the team, but outside of that, Neves was there, Moutinho was there. Kilman was playing at the back. That's maybe the goalkeeper could change for Sarr. Still a reasonably strong Wolves team, and that's not a good back four for Leeds. Like Leo Kjelde is a left footer, was playing on the right hand side of the back four. Thought he was excellent. Thought he had a great game for what he had to do. But you look and you go, Ayling, Kjelde, Llorente, Firpo, and Wolves can just about score one past that defense. I think that's a kind of an indication of what they're like as an attacking team. They struggle for goals, and they look like it. They really look like a team that struggle for goals. At least we know that what we've got up front in that game tonight is not our normal front grouping.
Yeah, it's almost like our defense or our mentality starts up front, and we were just off. It was just a heavy touch here, poor first touch. And then it just never seemed to kind of get going. We never seemed to seemed to be clicking. There was moments, I think, where there was some quality football by Leeds United, but it just never seemed to click. What did you think of who would be your man of the match for Leeds? Tough call.
Joe Robles, I suppose. I thought
Yeah.
he was excellent. You know, I mean, he made some good saves and he made them look pretty routine, but they were good saves. The header in the second half, especially, was an excellent save going back the opposite direction. Came in first half, came out and cleaned everything away. Nothing looked like a drama to him or like he was panicked. Everything kind of just looked like he was, this is okay, I'm in control of this. I thought he was probably the most level-headed person on the pitch. I thought he had a really, really good game for what he had to do. Nobody really stood out. I kind of wrote down Hjelde and Ailing were fine. Joseph looked like he could do something if you could get him the ball, but we didn't. So
Perkins was kind of anonymous for me.
First half, he was good. Second half, gone.
Right. And then I messaged you. I thought Click has just lost a step. There was a time where I think they tried to put him in, and it was like, come on, Click, get off that horse. He just kind of did that. He couldn't get it. He couldn't get that ball. Click 2-3 years ago. Championship Click gets that ball.
Yeah, there's a lack of sharpness with him, all right. You can see it.
Yeah, he just looks. I haven't seen anything since that first game against Wolves, ironically. Yeah, disappointing to see him come to kind of not kick on, I guess, a little bit on the side. Yeah, and then Harrison had moments of quality, and then he had moments where he was just looking at the sky. He kind of does that where he gets, I don't know, he runs out of gas in the final third or something. Like it just falls apart for him. So it was an ugly game. So I don't know. We're out of the cup, so we'll flush that.
Jackie right now reminds me of the kid you played football with in school, who would go running with the ball, and then as soon as the fullback would take it off him, would just stop running and look up in the sky and throw his hands up and not come back and help out. Just stay up there, then turn around and slowly kind of sulk his way back on side. And that's what Jack's kind of reminding me at the moment. Like he's overrunning the ball. I mean, again, for Harrison, I wrote down too many touches, overrunning you, caught in possession. And that just seems to be, the run with Jack right now. Like there's times we think there was one moment where I thought he's in, he's turned sharply, he's going to run straight through on goal. And instead of just going for goal, he tries to check inside and he loses the ball. And it's like, that happens so often with Jack. Cuts inside, loses it, cuts inside. And when he was playing on the left-hand side, because there's this argument at the moment saying he's playing on his weaker side and that's why it's not working. When he was on the left, even after from the Chelsea game to probably a couple of weeks ago, he was still just running into dead alleys. He was running into the fullback and losing the ball, running into the fullback and losing the ball. So it's just a different movement. Instead of cutting inside, he was running straight, but he was still losing the ball every single time he ran at somebody. I mean, and his set piece taken tonight was poor. Really, really.
Yeah. Confidence player. And I think he was not subbed on or subbed off for a reason. I felt like he and Click were both, to me, running out of gas, or it was a fairly intense game. I will say, like, the ball, it was a little bit of a ping pong game. And I think Jesse kept kind of clapping him up, cheering him on, wanting him to keep going, giving it. I mean, he really, after that hit, where I think he put it back on his left or his right, he cut back in, and he did have a fairly good shot on goal. It was wide. I mean, it wasn't on target, I guess I should say. It wasn't on target. But yeah, he just was low on confidence. He obviously knows that his job is up for grabs a little bit here based on Yanto's performance, and he's getting a start in a cup game. So that might have had something to do with it. He and Bamford are both confidence players, By the way, no Bamford tonight.
Injured again. And out of the weekend as well. I stuck on mute, mate.
You made a bold statement in our last podcast, and I can't really disagree with it. And you said, I think it might be time to move on from Patrick Bamford in January. And based on his availability and his form and how out of form he has been when he's come on, I can't say no. He needs to stay in. You're almost ready to go with a younger player like a Joseph or a Perkins or a Gelhardt, even though, I mean, they're in their early 20s or teens. So, injured again tonight, not in the lineup, did not get any game time, and a valuable cup game that he could have gotten some confidence
90 minutes. Yeah, 90 minutes. And his running in behind would have been maybe what opened it up a little bit because it was very compact. From what I've seen, he's out of the weekend's game against Spurs as well. So, I mean, he's got from now till after the World Cup to try and get himself back in some kind of shape and in form. But yeah, you're in the same momentum now that we have with Adam Forshaw. You get a serious injury, you miss a huge period of time. It is so hard to get that wheel moving again. And you've seen what Adam Forshaw, he came back in the back end of last season, was really good when he came back in, but got injured again, came back in, got injured again. And it's all these, what they call these micro tears, or these recovery injuries that you pick up when you come back after a long layoff. And now you're in Bamford's position. It's the same kind of stuff. He's picking up these niggly little injuries after the long layoff. Now it's a hip, and it was an ankle, then it's the foot, then it's the hamstring. And we're selling Forshaw. Apparently he's up for sale, and he's actually up for sale now, and they're trying to move him on in January. I think Leeds have to have a serious look at buying a first choice number 9 and moving on from Pat Bamford. He's 29 years of age. He's on the back of 2 bad years now. This season keeps going the way it's going.
It's a premium position, so there'll be a tax associated with a number 9, but we got to do it. We got to bite the bullet, right? I mean, everybody's been saying it over the summer. We obviously know the PR spin of 2 international number 9 quote unquotes came out. The gaslight into the fans.
None of whom look like they're going to the World Cup either, by the way. International,
yeah. And we just got to bite the bullet. And I think Jesse said strikers over the summer.
Yeah.
But it is definitely, it becomes more and more a valid position. And they don't grow on trees, but I think we do need to get some strikers in the door.
Alex, your camera is frozen. Oh, there you go. You're moving again.
Can you hear me?
Gotcha. I can hear you fine.
You getting audio?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You're back.
Let's pivot to the gaffer and the game at the weekend and him, the madness that was the Bournemouth, AFC Bournemouth. Crazy game. I called for his head at halftime, Jerry. I was just, so the first half was so bad. He got the subs right. Greenwood's goal was a worldie.
Mm-hmm.
Greenwood's goal was a worldie. What did you think of the game?
I watched it twice because I'm a sadist. And I wanted to put myself through that torture again for another 90 minutes. I gave myself the day. I watched the match. I wasn't happy after the game, even with the win. I was happy that we won. And obviously, last 10 minutes, you're kind of fanatically running around the place. On the move, go for a walk. I'll keep talking. I know you're still there. First half, I thought.
I took myself off camera. Keep going. We'll keep talking.
Okay. I kind of watched the game, went for a walk, and then watched the highlights of it. And then the next morning, I watched the full game again. And then when I watched it the second time, I was a bit more calm. I wasn't as reactive or as disappointed with the first half. And I kind of thought first 17 minutes we were excellent, did well. And then the second half of the first half was poor. But yeah, no, I thought after we got past that stage, I thought we were fine in the second half. I thought we dominated the game. I thought we were good value to win the game. Just bad defending for the goals again. I'm struggling with this, Alex.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't see you though, which just put me off.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on.
Sorry, man. You're okay. You're busy there. Yeah.
No, so do you think, I guess my question is, and you don't have to answer this because I think you've been on the fence. I've been on the fence too. I don't think the defense is going to adapt. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't see Jesse. There's always going to be a spare man available at the back post. That's what I've been seeing. Even in tonight's game, there was a Wolves player available at the back post. They just couldn't get it over to him. Does Jesse make it this season? Does he make a full season? I want him to, and I know you want him to as well. But what do you think on adaptation and his long-term, attendance at Leeds?
I think the back four is an issue, and I the system error is popping up. It's this: we defend with half the pitch, so the problem is the ball gets switched across. We're supposed to get across, and we're not. The problem with the weekend was for the first goal was Stroke gets caught too far up the pitch, then Cooper gets caught pulled across too far, and then Christensen comes in. But if Cock doesn't get the little flick on, then they don't score, but he does. I think if this system has any merit to work, and I think it does in an attacking sense, but if it's going to have any merit from a defensive perspective, I think we need better defenders. He needs to go out and look and try and get in some better defenders, because what's there at the moment either doesn't have the legs, isn't concentrating enough, or in the left back situation, you got a centre half playing left back and a left back in Firpo who isn't good enough to be in the club. So I think if it's going to work for him in defensively, he's going to have to go out and get some centre halves. In January, they've been linked with a guy from Sociedad today who I saw the link with the guy, and then I just thought, he's 28, he's injured, and two of the journalists that were talking about him being linked with Leeds don't think that he's of the standard of the top half of the Premier League. So you're like, we're definitely not signing that player then, because that seems like an awful player to try and sign. But I think if they were smart, and if, again, the rumours are coming out again tonight that the 49ers takeover looks like it could be happening now, then I think you could see January move. I think you could see some spending in January. And then maybe Jesse gets to the end of the season if he does that. But I mean, at the moment, if you take the emotion out of it, which is impossible because it's football, but if you try and take the emotion out of it, and you look where our wins have come against, and like you've got Liverpool, you've got Chelsea in there. I think Bielsa beat Manchester City, but that was the only top six team he got a result against. We've beaten two of them with Jesse. That's not to say that Jesse's better than Bielsa. They're poles apart. But he's getting results in big matches, which means he can get a performance out of the players. It's the games against the lesser teams we're shipping goals against. Like, we didn't concede loads against Liverpool, it was just one, but we conceded 3 against who was it? Bournemouth, right? And then the issue is here, if you look at the Liverpool game again, we actually offer up a ton of chances in that game that if Liverpool were on their toes could have been 5 or 6, like they could have been out of sight, but they didn't take their chances. So we have to sort that part of the game out. This time last year when Newcastle were struggling, they brought in Eddie Howe, and the first thing they did in January was went out and bought a centre-back. And they started to strengthen. They bought Dan Bunn, they started to strengthen that centre-back. If you look at Newcastle now, 1 year on, they have conceded the least amount of goals of any Premier League team this season. So they start at the back. They're 6th. Sorry, they're 3rd in the table currently.
That's where it's built. That's where it's built, right? It's built out of the back.
Again, because you go from losing a game 1-0 or 2-1 to drawing a game 1-1 or 0-0. That's a point. You just keep clocking these little points up, And the problem with us last season and this season has been throwing away what should have been a point, or throwing away what should have been 3 points, and they add up negatively then. So if this system is going to work, because it can definitely work in an attacking sense with scoring goals, we can prove that, but it's not working defensively. And then maybe it's a stage that now that the defense that we have there, and I saw, it was Jamie Carragher was talking about the Leeds defense, and he just said the Leeds defense is awful. The back 4 are not good enough, is what he said, all 4 of them. So that either has to be changed or the system has to be changed. But you can't keep shipping goals when we're shipping them and keep getting away with it. We won't get away with it.
I've had some of I don't know if they're American counterparts. They've just been in the comments of my videos of folks asking, can they get a defensive coach? Have you heard this? I mean, in America, we have a defensive coordinator that handles the entire in American football, quote unquote, that personnel group. It's completely different personnel. In football, world football, you're on defense at the switch of a hat. Yeah. And Jesse, in a way, likes defense, but he likes it high up the pitch. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want necessarily the ball. It's a ball-oriented system. But is there such thing as a defensive coach that they can bring in?
Yeah, they exist. I keep hearing these roles that Leeds are bringing people in to fill, and I'm kind of surprised they're not already filled. Like the sports psychologist one was time to bring in a psychologist, and I thought, why haven't we got psychologists already? Every team in the Premier League has teams of psychologists. It's a huge part of the game with social media. You need to manage the players' mental states as well, and the abuse that they get. Even the best players get it. And then you hear Leeds bring in a defensive coach, and thought, well, I would have assumed one of the coaches on the panel was leaning, more towards defensive. Mark Jackson was a defender, so I would have thought Mark Jackson would have looked after the defensive side of that. But like I've seen, like I've done it with clubs that I've been at, where the manager that I've worked for has deliberately brought me as in like a general coach, and then he's brought in a guy to work solely with the defenders. He was a good defender by positioning, and then I was a striker, so I do specific striker work with the strikers about runs and movement off the ball and that kind of stuff. But it was you kind of need it in certain times. But I would have assumed the club already had one, so I'm kind of surprised they don't have it, which maybe is the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think, based on what you've been saying, I think you got to look at strengthening the players, and then hopefully Jesse adapts a little bit. There's times where he wants to close up shop, but it's frustrating as a fan when we score, and you're kind of going, man, if they can just manage this moment out and not concede. But they concede, and it's just it's like going, Alex, come on. Yeah.
The fact that we have those moments means that they're repetitive enough to stick in your memory. So it means we're having them a lot. And that's the problem. Like, you might get away with a couple of them, but you won't get away with every single one of those moments in the game, which is why we don't have clean sheets.
Yeah. Yeah, I love a clean sheet. It's a shame we don't get them as often as we should.
Are you out of a 1-0?
You said something interesting about Firpo's not good enough for this side. For this, that's pretty damning. What is it about Firpo? Is it just the way he defends? Is it his movement going forward? Is it his injury record? A combination of all this? Like, what do you think?
I say it, and it is a very, like, I tend to try and balance things out. It's a very definitive statement.
You're a passionate fan.
Yeah. The reason I say it is because if I watched him play against Crewe in the Under-21 game during the week or last week, and the more I watched that game, the more I thought he looks exactly at his level. Like, he looks like a decent, good, reasonably good left back in League One. That's what he looked like. For a player to drop down and play on 21s against a team like Crewe, and to be as average as he was in that game, and to not stamp your authority on, and not be a senior player that really steps up and bombs up and down the wing and gets involved in things and bullies players. He didn't do any of that. He just kind of got through the game, and it was like, yeah, he's fine, grand. But there was nothing. It was nothing. Nothing about him the top that I thought that's a player who wants to get his position back, or if he is trying to get his position back, and that's the best that he has, then he's not at that level, unfortunately. And it's not a personal dig, and it's not trying to slag the player off or mock the player. It's simple as he doesn't do the basics well enough, and he didn't do the basics well enough tonight. His passing is poor. His positional sense is dreadful. He gets caught but balls and ball around the outside of him as a fullback. That's criminal. That should not happen. The ball should not go down your flank if you're a fullback on that side, and they just bend him around the back of him to run into. And I know the system has a part to play in that, but Stroud doesn't get caught with those, and he's not as fast as Firpo. So Firpo's supposed to be the fastest players in the group, but yet he gets overrun consistently on his left side. I think Adama Traore is an incredibly average winger, and I've thought he's an incredibly average winger for a very long time. I think a couple of years ago they talked about 50 million to Spurs, and I thought that was ludicrous because we
were linked to him forever. It was always like,
what?
Yeah.
I wouldn't swap Jack Harrison and get 10 million from them for Adama Traore. I think he is such an overrated player. And yet he gave Junior Firpo problems in the first half tonight. Like, major problems. Like, Adama looked like a good player.
I just don't like him because he claims he doesn't lift weights and he greases up his arms. That's why I don't like him.
There's one word that starts with a B and it finishes with an X, Alex. That's I'm naturally like that. Nobody is naturally like that. And passing drug tests.
Right. I've heard the biggest knock I heard on Firpo, somebody it was kind of shocking. They called him. I don't think he's a footballer. I don't think he's a footballer. They said he grew up in the Dominican Republic playing baseball. I don't know if this is true, but they said he's an athlete and he came to football late. He came to football late, and he's just not a footballer. And he's kind of like this, got this raw talent, and that's what we're hoping we see glimpses of, or the coaching staff sees glimpses of. But when you can't take the shirt off of a center back that's playing left back, and you're from Barcelona, it's I don't know, it's disappointing. Let's move on to the positive stuff that happened out of the weekend. Willie Nanto, I always mispronounce his name. I want to say Yanto, but Nanto, and his performances, what do you think of him? I think he's been, his touch is unbelievable, and his passing, you mentioned before, we saw it again last week. He's an excellent passer of the ball.
The more I watch him, the more I see a young Rod Wallace. Like the last player I saw being able to run, because he runs with it on the outside of the tip of his right foot.
Power.
It's just, it's the, like, do you remember Rod Wallace scored, I think it was the goal of the season, it was years ago, but it was against Spurs, where he pretty much ran from the defensive side off the pitch, back on, kind of like Gareth Bale's without the big long sprint, but came back onto the pitch and scored a beautiful goal. And when I see Son Yanto pick up the ball and run like that, and I've seen him do it a couple of times with the under-21s, it's very Rod Wallace-esque. The ball is glued to his foot. It's only ever like a couple of inches away from his toe. And his ability to move inside and outside players and drop the shoulders is excellent. Like, he looks like a real threat. And the big thing for me is he isn't afraid to try and get involved and impact the game. When he gets the ball, he wants to go forward every single time. And even today, when he came on in a game that was flat, he gets it in deep areas and he's trying to run forward, trying to kickstart something. So I really liked what I've seen, and it's 3 games. It's pretty consistent in all 3 games that he's doing as well. Like, he was involved in the goal for Liverpool. What a debut, by the way. You know, to come on at Anfield and be involved in that goal to win it for Leeds, and then to come on and put in the performance he put in. And the pass for Somerville's goal is outstanding, because he's moving really quick, and Somerville is really moving outside him. So that to get that ball timed and keep
full
on
sprint,
beautiful. So yeah, I think we got a good one. If he keeps playing like that, he's only gonna get better.
Gier,
no,
Somerville,
what a, isn't he?
Oh my God, what a player. We both were questioning him, I think, early in the season, but he's got speed, and he's got the ability to finish. And on this side, go ahead. What would you say?
He now knows he can do it at this level as well. And
you
can see that in every game. It's getting better.
Remember when you said early, you said he's got the number 10 shirt. That's big. That's big boy. That's a big boy call.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been proving it the past couple of weeks. He's been proving it. So, I mean, knock on wood, this continues, but what's your take on Somerville?
He's my only criticism that I've had of Somerville is that when he came into the team, he didn't look like he was trying to impose himself. That's a great shout by Digler, by the way. Yeah, his positional sense, but his timing of his run was excellent. Yeah, it was. He didn't do enough work off the ball. He didn't do the ugly side of the game. You know, the backtracking and they're trying to help their defenders out and recovery runs and that kind of stuff. He didn't seem overly interested in that, but he wanted the ball and he was good on the ball. My criticism was, if he can get the off the ball stuff right, and if he can be as active off the ball as he is when he has it at his feet, you're talking about an incredible player. He's going to be an amazing player, but he has to do the dirty side of the game as well. And there was one of our corners, there was a counter attack, and Bournemouth were pretty much two players straight through on goal. And Somerville made a sprint back from the attack and third, straight through the two of them, got around, got a toe poke on the ball, and I got knocked back towards Meslier. And Meslier kind of half clears it, and Somerville straight back over, battling for the ball, wins it, and breaks forward with it. It was like, that's the stuff I want to see him do that I haven't seen him do, because that's the stuff where he can use his pace defensively to help the team. And he was excellent against Bournemouth at that side of the game, and he absolutely deserved his goal. Jesse Marsh has a lot of faith in him. You can see that. He's pushing him, but you can see that he's got faith in him because he could have taken him off for 15 minutes to go try and change that game, and he didn't. He stuck with him and left him on, and he gets the winner. So the kind of, the patience is rewarded. But he has got these nice little link-up plays with Rodrigo at times. There's nice little understanding there, and he's got these nice little link-up plays with Nyanto as well, which is tidy. There's obviously they've had that, the well-publicized friendship that they've got now as well, but you can that connection is great. We've seen this before. I'm not going to tempt fate. I'm touching wood here as well. There was a group of young Leeds players that came through at a certain time. We're all good mates and we're pretty close. Around the time when David O'Leary took over from a really boring, terribly bad, awful George Graham team the year before, and turned Leeds around. So, touch wood that we're getting the same look again. We're getting a second batch of players because they finished the match with Gellhart, Greenwood, and Somerville, who were the front three for the under-23 side last season. That was the front three for that team that got relegated in the Premier League last year. To finish the game and to be involved in the goals was incredible. And then you add Nyanto, an 18-year-old, to that as well. And then you look at Leo Kielda playing tonight and was excellent tonight as well. So that's a big group of young players coming through that you can now look at the bench and have no issue bringing players on from the bench. Sam Greenwood ran the show when he came on. Incredible performance. Talk about a breakout performance. That was it.
Yeah, that Greenwood goal was unbelievable. I've never seen. I mean, Rafinha had kind of goals like that in him, but not through. That was through. I think I counted 7 players. It's all the way through 7 players in that far corner, outstretching the goalie. I mean, I can't. I think also Harrison has had some screamers a couple times in his first year. Bamford's obviously had some nice goals, but I tell you what. So I don't know. There was something about when Greenwood came on, adding that attacking sense in the midfield that I don't think Rocca and Adams necessarily are programmed to be attacking from that deep of an area. So that was an interesting little wrinkle that Greenwood came on the pitch with. And I liked his ability to deliver dead balls in the box. So I think he's a player that's going to shout for more minutes. I don't know. It's a game changer. Rocca has been really good at times. Excellent. But what's your take on?
I'm a big Mark Rocca fan. I know his last match wasn't great, poor game against Fulham, but he's been pretty good for us all season. The numbers that he's putting in, back it up with his forward passes and that kind of stuff. He's one of the top contributors in the league. But I think I said this in one of the videos I did a couple of weeks, maybe it was last week before last. I want to grab Greenwood and grab Somerville and shake them and just say you're good enough to play at this level. Like you are good enough. Believe in yourself and go and put in the performances you put in with the under-23 side. Like be bold enough to go and get the ball. Push people around. And I thought that was what was missing from them coming in. They were just coming in and being passive, and a game kind of passed them by and kind of being happy to be there. And I don't want that. I want young players that are greedy. You want to come in and get the ball and impose themselves in the game. And when Jack came on, when Greenwood came on, he did exactly what he did. He just started running around trying to get the ball. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Like you could see him looking for it. And the cross for Cooper's goal from a corner. I mean, we keep hearing Jesse Marsh talking about how much time we spend on set pieces, yet we can't score one. And then Greenwood comes on and puts the first ball past the near post straight onto Liam Cooper's head, which was a fantastic header as well by Cooper. So that was the first thing. But he was involved in lots of little good things that were happening. Like he was involved in moves. He was picking up space. He was pressing really, really well. Even as a second press off, if Somerville was pressing the fullback, he was the second one across as quick as he could to try and double up. He was putting the miles in. And we know we can score from a dead ball. And that ball was rolling across the ground just perfectly to be hit by somebody. I actually thought it was Christensen that hit it first. Because the celebration
was spinning a little bit.
It was just kind of just moving and just ready. Yeah. You could see him, like his whole body. When that ball kind of started to stop, you could see him change his whole body shape. Like he's wrapping his foot around this.
Oh, it's a perfect strike.
Beautiful.
It's head down, completely focused on striking the ball. It's really cool.
If you don't look at the ball in that movement at all, like the next time you watch that goal, just stare at his movement. Look at his technique. He plants his foot. That foot does not leave the ground until the ball's in the back of the net. Like it only even looks up till the ball's in the back of the net. He hits it, and it's just It's nearly robotic. The leg comes around and the leg just plants.
It's like
And
a
he's
golf.
perfect.
It's like a golf swing.
Exactly like a golf
you don't
swing.
really look
Yeah.
up at the.
Beckham did it for years. That technique, that exact technique of planting the foot and using the momentum of your body to cut across the ball, and he does it brilliantly. Does it absolutely brilliantly. And as I said, we've seen him do it for the under-23 side, but now he's doing it for the first team. And I think he'll get it now as well. As I said, Somerville now knows that he can do it in the Premier League. He's got a couple of goals. He's been dangerous. He knows against big sides. So he's like, yeah, I've scored against Liverpool. I'm good enough for this level. Sam Greenwood now has that as well. Now he scored against a team that's won a match for Leeds. When they were behind, he's the guy that got us back in that game. That second goal doesn't go in. Leeds don't get that momentum to kind of pick it up again. So he's turned the whole game. So now he knows the impact that he can have on that as well. So that's only going to add to the quality they've already got, is the belief that they can compete in this league now, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, and they were the game changers last week, the youth. Before we move to the next question, there's 25 of you folks in here. If you could smash the like, subscribe, just helps the video kick on and go from there. So, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and also subscribe to my mate here, Jir. He is Jir. He is at iJirLench on Twitter and Instagram, as well as the host of the daily Leeds. I guess it's Leeds News on YouTube. Leeds United, The View, and it's just straight facts. Nothing, no rumors. Nothing like Messi to Leeds, because because Bielsa and Messi are from the same town in Argentina. There's verified sources here that he's done his homework on. The rumor mill. It's about to start up again, my friend.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you straight out. This is a rumor, and I don't believe it's going to happen. But here's the story. But yeah, I don't do arm waving and shouting and screaming at a camera. So if you want the kind of a balanced view of things, that's what I do.
Oh, were you going to say a story?
No. That was it.
Oh, okay. I don't know. All right. So, how do you see this Tottenham game? I feel like Tottenham's DNA is naturally from Mourinho. And I think when Conte first stepped in there, they were kind of a team that liked to sit back and be on the counter. No Son, but that's that counter DNA is something that's still in them. And of course, Kane likes to facilitate the counter, and he also likes to get on the end of the counter.
Yeah.
I think they're also a very good set piece team, as we've mentioned.
Big
but
players.
what's your take on how you think this will unfold? I haven't really studied Spurs or Conte this year. I think they're doing okay. They obviously lost to Liverpool recently in a tight game. But what's your take on how this game might unfold in London?
I don't want to get cocky because we won 2 games in a row. I don't want to think like, we're in good run of form. We'll go there and we'll get a result. They have players up front that can hurt us. They still have pace even without Son. They still have players there coming back from injury as well. So what you get with Conte's team is a very compact team. So it's a very compact defensive unit. So when they're playing out from the back, it's either 2 or 3. They change it, but they pull their team in. So they're all compacted, and then the ball goes to the left. The whole unit moves to the left, and it goes to the right. It's an entire unit. But when they're high, their back line is very high as well. So they do leave space in behind. So you could see the likes of Somerville and Aronson getting a bit of joy in behind. If he decides to go with Gnonto as well with the pace, there's space in behind. There usually is space in behind with Spurs. You've got Doherty at right back, who's an Irish fullback, who's not having a fantastic season. He's good going forward, can deliver a really good cross, but defensively will leave space in behind them. So there's opportunities. There will be space there for us to get in behind and cause them problems. But they move as a very large unit. So if our midfield aren't on it for breaking balls and second balls, we could get picked up pretty quickly.
The DNA of the team has changed, I'd say rapidly. I mean, but all the guys from the Bielsa era, where I feel like it was a little bit and they had a great first season. I don't want to say that, but we could never get a win in London. Remember the London curse? And
Yeah.
they were always, I don't know if that was us just being wide-eyed does, and here we are at these big clubs, and but they're young. It's a younger team that is up for this stuff. They went into Anfield and they got a win. Yep. So what's to say they can't go into Spurs? Because they're kind of like, when the lights shine brightest, they're kind of up for it even more. So I don't know. I'm optimistic at the moment that something can happen, that we can get a result.
This team has proven it's very good when it's back against the wall. But the question is, we don't need to do it when it's not. When we don't have to win, we don't win. But if you have to get a result, we can get a result.
And in this league, you can't switch off. You just can't. Everybody's ready for you.
Too quick. Yeah. I mean, you one of the players forgets to do the press. A team gets out within 2 or 3 passes in a couple of seconds. They're in your box. It's that quick a league. You go to sleep in your market. The guys you're marking doesn't go to sleep. You're out of the game. It's rapid, and they've got to be up to speed with it. But I have a friend of mine that I work with, John Rodman. John will probably back this up. Spurs should be better than they are, and the players they have aren't as good as they think they are. So it's not a fantastic Spurs side. It's a good Spurs team, but it's not a fantastic Spurs side. Bournemouth did score 3 goals against them as well, so they will give up goals and they will give up chances. So I think if our attacking game is on it and our attacking players are playing well, we'll score some goals. It's just a question of whether our defense is, turns up like did against Liverpool. We keep the goals against them.
Do you think we get the win? Do you think we get a result? What's your take?
I can't predict correctly now, can I?
Yeah, it's almost like you want to say what you said when the result happened. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go every time we've gotten a result against the top 6. All right, I didn't say this against Arsenal, so I said 2-1 loss at Anfield and at home to Chelsea. So I'll say 2-1 loss for good luck at a result. To go home,
I'll go 2-2 draw then.
2 draw. All right.
2-2 draw.
Yeah. And this would be a nice. Obviously the game last week was a nice way. He is going to be the manager after the World Cup. There is no doubt about that. And if we get a result here, I think it puts us. I don't think we'll be top 10, but I think we'll be. What are we sitting 13th or so right now? 13th, 14th,
12th currently.
12th. Yeah. So we'll be probably anywhere from 10th to 12th, most likely. If we're top 10, that would be fantastic. And anytime we play these top 6 sides, I just want the boys to put in a shift. Everybody got rest tonight. I think the midfield's obviously going to be back and solid for us. Cooper Koch will be back. So I think we'll be, secure at the back. And then the front 4, obviously Rodrigo will be back. And then the question is obviously whether Nanto comes in for Jack Harrison, which looks likely.
He's the question. I think he has to. I think he has to.
Yeah. And then obviously we've got a fresh Brendan Harrison, who's a pressing monster. And hopefully every time I mentioned this last week, every time I get a screenshot of Brendan Harrison, his shirt, his shorts, everything's getting pulled.
Yeah. He finishes the game top to toe. Like his kit is the dirtiest kit coming off the pitch. Like he gets dragged around the pitch for 90 minutes by every player that gets near him. So he just bounces back up though, doesn't he? He just gets up and all right, and then off he goes again. Tyler Adams runs around, pushes people, and then Aronson gets up and walks off. That's kind of the partnership. I'll run around and get kicked, and you sort them out.
Who are you looking for? Are you looking forward to watching the World Cup? Yes, no. Sports. They call this. I've heard it been called the sports washing cup a little bit because it's
because of what it is. Yeah, I don't agree where it is. I don't agree the reason why it's there, and I don't agree with it being at the time of year that it is. I'm not going to be hypocritical and say I'm not going to watch it. Probably am. Probably will watch it. My country aren't playing in it, so I don't have the moral dilemma of my country refusing to go or boycotting it. Did you hear Jurgen Klopp's comments on this during the week?
No.
I thought it was really good. A journalist asked him his thoughts on the World Cup, and he said, kind of sat on the fence for a bit and kind of did the normal manager answer, and then he got a bit annoyed, and he said, "Why don't you write your own opinion? What do you guys think about it? Why keep asking us what we think about it and putting Jurgen Klopp said this, Jose Mourinho said this. What's your opinion? You're going to the World Cup. Your paper are sending you there. You're participating. You're taking money. What's your take on it? You're going." And he said, "Don't ask me. Don't ask me. I don't agree with it. I don't talk about it." And the journalists were like, "Right, okay. Don't just ask the manager for his opinion. Give your own opinion as well. Are you guys against it?" So yeah, I'll probably watch it. I'm not a gambling man, but every World Cup I put a few quid on top goal scorer, a team I think are going to win it, and I always try and pick someone who is not the obvious choice. And I'm going to put a few quid on the States. I fancy the States to go far, purely because every other country's the teams seem to be falling apart with injuries. I think you guys will be okay.
Napper, good shout on Aronson.
Yeah.
It's football. It's one of the places where it's football at its highest level. So I will be watching it as well. The thing about the USMNT, we weren't in the last World Cup. We're in this one. We do not have a center back partnership. It's actually much like, Leeds have started to develop a center back partnership. So we have center backs that have not played together. The gaffer of the United States original plan was to play out of the back. They had 2 friendlies against Japan and I don't know. It's not Saudi. It wasn't Saudi Arabia. It was another team. I apologize, but they didn't score. They went 2 games without scoring, and it was just because they couldn't play out of the back. They didn't have, they had 2 MLS players, which are, the MLS is a growing league. I think Jared and I've talked about this before. It's growing, but it's still not at the level of other teams. And when you don't have a center back partnership and you're trying to play out of the back, you have to go long. You have to go second ball. You have to kind of adapt. And so I think we could get pummeled the first games against Wales, who's a seasoned, international side. They played in the Euros. I think they're a little bit more battle tested than us on that stage.
Yeah.
And that really starts right out of the gate with that first game. If you can get a result against Wales, you kind of say free hit against England, and then get a result. I believe against Saudi Arabia or So
this first game is huge, Alex. If you lose the first match, you nearly can say that's it, done, World Cup over. Like, you have to get a result. That's why the first couple of matches in the World Cup tend to be slow or poor quality, because teams are like, well, let's just not lose, get a point on the board, then see how it goes. So the first game can be a tricky one because teams don't want to lose as much as they want to go and win it. So you can end up with it can unbalance things a little bit.
Yeah. And then we'll come back after the break and we will be doing, the games I think will be coming thick and fast, right?
Yeah. 2 week, isn't it? It's a midweek game for a couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've got a couple of weeks.
So it'll be good to see some footy. Football will be back right after the World Cup and the league games. So that's all I've got. You got anything else?
Just gonna say, if we do manage to beat Spurs, which I'm not saying we will, but if we do manage to beat Spurs, that'll put us on 5 wins. And the running train of thought with the Premier League is 9 wins keeps you in the Premier League, and where we'll have 5 wins in 12. With still 14 games to be played. I think 4-15 left to be played. So we'll be in a really good spot coming back after the World Cup. But I hope either the takeover stuff is ironed out or money's being invested and taken off the value, or something's being done for January, and that we move really, really quickly at the start of January. If we can get January right, we can get the run that Newcastle had in the second half of last season. But I would be adding a player to the list: striker, left back, centre back. With 3. Go get the 3 of them. Should be okay.
Yeah, the rumor mill is heating up. They call it the hot stove. The hot stove is heating up, and please do tune into Jeer for the verified rumors, not the rumors that you see on Twitter where some bot tweeted out something crazy that and if he says, what I like about watching your channel too is that you say take it with a pinch of salt, but hey, this is coming from XYZ source.
Yeah.
They're but here's the news. You know what I mean? And so that gives me a little bit more context to where if it's not a Fabrizio Romano or an actual verified source, that I get my hopes up and thinking all this stuff's coming, and it's interesting too. You reported out that some of these strikers that we were rumored with, forget the gentleman from PSG, it was like, it was never on the table.
Said so, no straight away. Never wanted to go. Callum Wendu. No, I said he had zero interest in joining the none. Told him straight away.
And literally, I think for like 50 days in the summer, I was like, ooh, this guy could come to us,
I need to have a folder. I've got like 2 or 3 players for pictures for the videos on the mornings I do the videos. And I just have one folder that has just Callum Wendu, the Kettler, and Ben Burton Diaz in it. Just different pictures of those 3 players, because it was like every second day it was Callum Wendu, Burton Diaz. I've got something for tomorrow morning, Alex. I'm bringing them. I'm bringing a transfer bingo into the video in the morning to just go, these are the players we're always linked with. Every time I say one, we mark it off. We'll just move on to the next one. But yeah, it's already started today. There's a striker from Austin FC has been linked with Leeds, got 25 goals in the MLS, has some pedigree with Zenit St. Petersburg. He got 20 goals for them, but he's been linked. Burton Diaz has come back up again, but one news source is saying Leeds want a free transfer at the end of the season. Another news source is saying Leeds will do a £10 million deal in January for him. Then another news source is saying Man United are in for him, and then another source is saying, well, it's already done deal to Seville. So it keeps going around, but we'll if it looks like it's nonsense, I'll tell you it's nonsense. I see Jason baiting me with Noah Lang in the comments there. Not a nice guy. Not a nice guy. Gifted footballer, not a nice bloke. That's the balanced view on him. Ryan Kent is definitely in the bingo, Martin. Yeah. One of the first ones on it, in fact. Yeah. Pedro is yes, I said Pedro as well. He's been linked today as well. That'll be for tomorrow's. But yeah, it's already started. There's loads. There was nobody linked all last week, pretty much, bar 1 or 2 kind of really out there ones. And then this morning it was like 6 players. All these players are linked with Leeds today. Here we go.
You think it could be a January window, or do you think the 49ers take over during the World Cup?
Something's going on, yeah.
Wow.
I'm putting 2 and 2 together, maybe getting 5. Talking about sources, like I did the video 2 days ago on thought it would do better than it did, if I'm being honest. 49.
Oh yeah, with the journalist.
Yeah, no, with Cam, that Cam was interesting. Cam was really interesting because he really gave me the vibe of he knows a little bit of what's going on. He talks to Parag Marathe, and he seems very, very, very happy about the whole thing.
Keep doing those little clips. Keep doing those little clips, because sometimes I get I'll put the clips of us out on Twitter and I'll get 500 views.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to find a way of doing it. I was trying to get some stuff on Spotify during the week, and when I tried to upload the audio, it was too big. And
you can get down that rabbit hole,
I know.
Yeah, and then the important thing is you just do your bread and butter, and that's you know what I mean.
No, I like it. It's the YouTube stuff is good. I like the group of people that watch my channel. There's the odd 1 or 2 people that are kind of go off in the comments, but most of them are like nearly everyone in the page is sound. So it's a good. I like the group of people that watch the videos. I enjoy talking to them, and I like doing the videos for that group of people as well. So
right.
But yeah, just the 49ers thing, I think something's going on. We 2 days ago put it in the news that there was rumor of this what's called earnings buyout. What that means is that whatever money the 49ers have already paid into Leeds this year gets taken off the capital for the money that they buy the club with. And they were saying that was in place. And I saw this twice in 2 days. And I checked everywhere else for it. I checked all the Leeds vlog YouTube channels. Like, this hasn't been reported anywhere. But if I'll put it in the video and see what happens. I'll put it up in the video. And then this evening it comes out from the Times that it looks like it's moving, that the 49ers have now gone through their equity stuff, and they've moved the finances to do the buyout now. So whether that happens in January, before January, it could be one of 2 things. The way it's worded, it could be end of the season, or it could be imminent. It could happen anytime in the next, couple of weeks. So it's something's going on, because there's just too many bits popping up in different places for there not to be some smoke. There's a bit of smoke floating around for there not to be fire.
Yeah, something. It could be a busy World Cup break for the back office at Leeds United and at Ellen Road. Follow Gier Lynch on his socials. Leeds United, The View, daily content, and obviously the rumor mill is about to kick off. And that's all I've got, everybody. Thanks. There's 26 of you. There was 26 to 30. Smash the like if you can. It'll just kick on the algorithm. And post this out on Spotify and Anchor for your audio pleasure, as well as you can go out. And I always listen to podcasts when I'm, cleaning up the house, doing the dishes, I don't have a dog, but if I were to take a dog for a walk,
I do it.
Yeah.
Take my dogs for a walk. Yeah.
What kind of dog is it?
I have
think
two.
I asked.
One that I share with my ex is a terrier, Jack Russell Cross, called Luna. She's a little small. Like we've joint custody of a dog. Very modern relationship. And then
wow.
I have this lump here. Murphy, you coming up? You coming up? No, she's asleep beside me. She's 1, and she's a black Cocker Spaniel Jack Cross as well. So she's got the big. Oh, here she is. Come here. 1, 2, 3. That's Murphy.
Oh wow, sweet doggy. Sweet dog. 1.
She's a baby. Yeah, she's just gone 1. Yeah.
Fast.
Very fast. Very fast.
Yeah, gotta keep her on the leash and everything.
Not a bad swimmer. She's getting used. Yeah, she's getting better. I take her off the lead at the beach. I have a beach pretty close to me, and there's a field here as well. I live in the countryside, so I bring her in there to run around. She's good off the leash. She's got good recall, but she's the most affectionate dog I've ever had, which is great. Yeah. I listen to podcasts when I bring her for a walk.
Yeah, that's it. All right, thanks everybody. I will see you soon. Marching on together. Leeds. Bye, everybody.